welcome to Cast That Movie, a podcast where Tom Van Horton and myself, Joad McDougall, revisit failed cinematic projects from the past, and we talk about how they went sideways, and then we recast those projects with a cast we feel would make for a better product, and then we assign a new visionary director to helm the re-envision project and make it a success. And we also think of a dream project, an original project based on pop culture event or really anything that we feel would make for a good movie, cast that as well, assign a director to that as well. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing just peachy, actually.
Fantastic.
Just exactly peachy. No more, no less.
No more, no less. Okay, makes me wonder, but how does Peachy look in your life, sir?
Swell.
Good.
Are we okay?
Yeah, we have a little bit of a cold running through the house.
Okay, we don't have Voldemort on the premises, do we?
We do, as of right now, we do not have Voldemort on the premises. Confirmed.
All right, good. We gotta keep that evil wizard away.
Absolutely.
So let's quickly talk here about what we are doing for this episode. For the recast project, we are going all the way back to 2012 for the Disney movie John Carter.
Yes, sir. That bombed horrifically.
Bombed very horrifically, yes. And then, Tom, I'm going to let you tell everybody what we are doing for our original dream project this episode.
Our original dream project is taking the story of what was the documentary called King of Kong about Billy Mitchell, who's been involved in competitive video game scoring and that realm as far back as the 80s. And
a legend in the Donkey Kong arena, right?
Donkey Kong, Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Yes, and those are really the ones that he's known for. But he was also Burger Time, few other games. He just was kind of the guy that kind of brought about competitive gaming, and or at least as the most amount of what should I say, notoriety.
Sure, and he is a very, very unique individual, shall we say?
Yes, and we will get into that when we get into the recast or the dream project, which is making that whole thing a movie.
Right. Okay, so let's start with any corrections or addendums or anything of that nature from our previous episode of Cast That Movie. Do you have anything on the docket for this?
I don't believe so. Let me double check my notes. But I don't think we have a whole lot to add to. I mean, it was a pretty sparse, episode last week. And in terms of 2 weeks ago, in terms of kind of like, what went on with the behind the scenes of King Arthur, and, everyone knows Red Dead Redemption. So, no, I don't think we have any corrections. At least
it was hard to get anything wrong there. So let's, I guess, then, in that case, go to our first ad break right off the bat here, and we will come back and we will jump all the way over to Mars to tackle John Carter.
Oh, do we have casting news, sir?
We do have casting news, but we usually do that coming out of the first ad break.
Oh, God. See, this cold meds. My apologies. Go. No. Yeah, take us to the ad, sir.
That's okay. I'm here to steer the ship, as you were. Okay, yeah, let's go to our first ad break, and we'll be right back with casting news and John Carter. Listen up, twerps. I'm hearing a lot of bitching and moaning from some of you about having to wear a mask, and that mamby-pamby crap ends now. Some of you seem to think you can go into a private business and ignore that business's policies. Not anymore, pussy ass. Any business that needs a little extra muscle to enforce their mask policies needs only to hire me, Biff Stackwater, mask enforcer. And as soon as one of you gaping assholes even thinks about raising your voice at a cashier, I will go Humpty Dumpty on your dumb mega ass and break you into a bajillion pieces so small you might as well call it a cremation and live with the dirt and the worms. Full stop. I have been waiting for this moment. Businesses admit it. The customer is usually wrong, and they couldn't be more wrong when they pull this shit. Let me end it for you. Let me crack some empty skulls so you can all be safe. I'm Biff Stackwater, mask enforcer, for hire, and I can't wait to shove some red hats up some brown eyes for you.
And if the medicine makes you sicker in the morning, sicker in the mornings like you say you need. Hold on to it.
Welcome back to Cast That Movie, and it is time for some casting news, Tom. Casting news. Do you have anything for us today on casting news? Because I have one.
I have one as well.
Would you like to start, or shall I?
No, I'd like you to start, sir.
I can do that. Are you familiar with the Chevy Chase comedy Fletch?
I am familiar with Fletch, and I'm familiar with Fletch Lives.
So you've seen them both.
I have seen them both.
Now, I haven't, honestly. I've never seen either. Would you recommend them?
So I would recommend the first one
Mm,
because it is classic
sure.
Chevy Chase. It was funnier like when I was a kid in the 80s because that 80s humor was there,
Yeah.
But it's still something that I see, and like it's a very quotable film. Very
Right.
quotable.
Well, they are remaking Fletch, Tom. I'm not sure if you've heard of this.
I
They are-
have not.
They are remaking Fletch, and it will star, taking the mantle, as it were, from one Chevy Chase, is John Hamm from Mad Men.
I think that's a good choice, actually.
Yeah, John Hamm has got some comedy chops. There's no doubt about that. Anybody that's paying attention, he loves to. This is kind of as far as I can think of. This might be his first like feature comedy where he's not like either a cameo or and John Hamm as that kind of role. Like this is him in the lead. Like I will watch this. I still don't have any. I'm not a big Chevy Chase fan.
I still recommend you at least see it because then you're gonna get an idea what John Hamm's gonna go for, and I can see it like in my head. Like I can picture the movie, the original movie, and see John Hamm in those parts. And I can see him doing some of these things because it's that subtle, snarky Chevy Chase humor where he's saying things so fast or he's just so quick-witted. Plus, there's a particular scene with where he talks to these guys about whether they're putting together or working on a plane, and that's a classic scene. I mean, there is some things you should see Fletch.
All right. Well, I will for sure watch Fletch remake starring John Hamm. So we're both optimistic on this.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
What do you have for us, Tom?
I have something you're going to absolutely hate, and I love bringing you things you can absolutely hate because it makes for good podcasting.
Oh God. All right. Let me brace myself literally. All right. Strap myself in here.
We're going to go around the bush. So Zachary Levy has a new project coming. Have you heard about this?
Is it Shazam 2?
No.
Is it a Chuck reboot?
It is not a Chuck reboot.
Okay.
It is going to be a kind of a biopic or a period piece starring a certain football player. One Kurt fucking Warner.
Oh.
He is going to play Kurt Warner in American Underdog, the Kurt Warner story, which is being produced by a faith-based company.
Oh. Kurt Warner's Mormon, I believe.
Well, it's a faith-based movie, and I don't know what that means, but that's what they said on the thing. This is a total film. Yep, that's what they said. It's going to be all about Kurt Warner's faith, and how he was an underdog in all the sports that he did around the media and around the publicity of quote anti faith media.
Ugh. Ew. I
Yeah.
don't. I liked Kurt Warner as a player when he was a player. And there is an underdog story there. I mean,
Yeah.
he was old before he got his shot in the NFL. I think he started, was it Canadian football, or he started in that, or USFL, or some lesser league. Uh, I don't remember what that was, but it might have been the Trump one. I don't know. But yeah, so I won't watch it though. I don't need values injected into me while I'm trying to watch a
Yeah.
biopic.
I mean, he put out a memoir
Mm.
called All Things Possible: My Story of Faith, Football, and the First Miracle Season.
Faith and football go like hand in hand. Like, how are you ever an underdog? Unless it is because he's a Mormon and his struggles with getting through, being the only Mormon in professional football. Aside from that, that's like the Texas slogan, isn't it? Faith, football, and family, or something stupid like that.
Something like that. Now, it's being
God.
directed by the Irwin brothers, John Irwin and Andrew Irwin, and it is
They related to Steve Irwin.
Come on, too soon. I don't know anything about the Irwin brothers. I honestly don't. Let's look. I can,
I don't care.
Okay,
I don't care. Yeah, no, this is
then real quick.
no interest in this.
Well, you might, because you liked Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, the show. Yeah, the movie.
And it's being co-written with writer David Aaron Cohen and John Gunn from Friday Night Lights.
The film or the TV show?
I don't know. Fuck it. It doesn't say.
I don't care. Let them do their thing. People watch that, Pat, I guess. I don't know.
The Irwin brothers, real quick, they are American Christian film directors. They are known for things like Woodlawn, October Baby, Mom's Night Out, and I Can Only Imagine. So, films you and I have never seen and not in our wheelhouse.
I can only imagine how terrible those movies are.
Exactly.
Yeah, so who cares on that? So yeah, one we're excited about, and one that does not land on our radar in any way whatsoever. Some people it will, probably not people that listen to this podcast. So fuck it.
Fuck it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't either. All right.
I just wanted to throw a monkey wrench at you.
Yeah, no, that was now I want to know if he's Mormon or not. So we'll report. We'll follow up on that story later.
Breaking news later in the podcast.
Breaking news. Kurt Warner is in fact a Mormon.
Or Kurt Warner is in fact not. We'll let you know.
Yes. More at 10. All right, so let's do John Carter. Yes, let's go in. This is our recast, re-envision, redo. Go back in time, start it all over again. Tom, why don't you tell us, for those unfamiliar, which judging by the box office is quite a few people, what was John Carter?
So, are you familiar with the book series at all?
I know of a book series. I'm not familiar with them.
Are you familiar with a writer by the name of Edgar Rice Burroughs?
Yeah, that's Sherlock Holmes, yes?
No, that is Tarzan.
Who's Sherlock Holmes?
That was Sir Arthur Doyle.
Oh, man, all these are Arthur Conan Doyle, right?
Yep, Arthur Conan Doyle.
I get the three names mixed up a lot, I think is what it is.
So Edgar Rice Burroughs got his claim to fame for writing creating Tarzan in the
Tarzan. That's where okay, got it.
Yes. So then he decided he wanted to get into sci-fi, and he came up with this. It becomes the Bassoon series, but originally published called the Under the Moons of Mars in 1912. He published the first novel called A Princess of Mars in 1917. Following that, there was 10 sequels over the next 3 decades going into 1948. Wow. Each one extended further into Barsoom, adding other characters. And if you're interested in reading them, what's really cool is the first 5 novels are actually public domain in the U.S.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, you can you can just type it in online and read away. Totally public domain. And actually, the rest of the series is free around the world on Project Gutenberg Australia.
Steve Gutenberg?
No, but we're gonna run into Steve Gutenberg later, I promise.
Wow.
So there was a first attempt to make this movie starring Antonio Sabato Jr. The 2009 Asylum film. You're familiar with Asylum, right? Those are the people that make Sharknado, Sharktopus.
Oh.
Make all those, when what was it? There was Pacific Rim, or they made a Atlantic Rim. That's the Asylum people. They decided that they were going to make Princess of Mars, starring Antonio Sabato Jr. as John Carter and Tracy Lords as Deja.
What the fuck?
Yeah, right? Totally
in 2009?
This is a 2009 movie.
I mean, if you'd have told me 1999, that would have seemed more
believable.
No,
this was a straight to DVD bombshell, dude.
But even some straight to DVD doesn't go that far past the expiration date of an actor's career.
There you go. Antonio Sabato Jr. needs that heroin money. It's very, very, very different. They set it in modern day where he's a sniper in Afghanistan, travels to Barsoom, a planet outside the Earth's solar system. I don't know if they couldn't get the full rights to it or what, but it's just a shit show mess. Yeah. So there was that. So that's kind of the history of leading up to what then later became John Carter. The director of John Carter was a huge, huge fan of the series. Mm-hmm. And he had written for Wall-E, did a lot Finding Nemo, did a lot of things on that end. Andrew Scrant, I'm blocking the name here. Stanton. Thank you. And was
this his first feature as a director, or
this was his first feature as a live action. Now, I'm going to tell you right now one of the issues. He was supposed to be making a live action movie. John Carter has more animated scenes in it than Toy Story or any other Pixar movie. There is way more frames of animation in John Carter than the fucking Pixar movies. So that was issue number one. Issue number two, really what hurt this movie was that they threw the world at him. They said, here, you are a Pixar genius. We're going to give you $250 million to make a movie.
Jeez.
Now, that is, in today's movies, that's like you expect a blockbuster. In 2012, that was, you didn't get that with a first-time director. And that was setting any movie up for failure. Because that was a lot of money to make up 8 years ago.
Sure.
Well, what went wrong? Well, Stanton, he was given free reign. The production execs were nowhere on the set. And then the studio, late in the spring of their production, head out to meet with them, and it was led by a woman by the name of Marie Cartney, who had gotten the job for Disney in 2010 outside the Hollywood system. She would resign in January of 2011, 18 months into her 4-year contract because of this movie. Yes. They come out and they're like, we need to get some of your cuts. When a movie is made like a blockbuster, they typically take the first portion of filming for the trailers. They go, all right, we got to come up with the trailer spots because marketing is going to want to do this. Stan had no idea, because with the Pixar movies, they could go years without having to do that. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing that he was familiar with was, I'm going to have time to make this movie, and the execs are leaving me alone. And then the marketing people show up and they go, okay, this has got to come out in, a couple months here. Where's the marketing machine? He's going, what? The stuff that they gave him didn't even have for the for the trailer, for the very first trailer.
Yeah, like you're talking about like a teaser, like a teaser trailer, right?
Yep. Didn't even have the effects in it, weren't even finished. So this was a huge problem. He had a schedule for all of this. He had no idea what he was doing. Plus, what was taking so long was the fact that he was having to go in and create all those Tarks and all the characters and to put all this in. He would have been better off making this a fully animated movie from the route he was going at. The book is called The Princess from Mars, but it was decided that it was too foo-foo for the market, so they changed it to John Carter from Mars. And people are like, the guy from Noah Wiley from ER, like, what's John Carter from Mars? So they changed it just to John Carter. And then there was the Super Bowl ad, and that was, you could go back and look at it. That was a total disaster. Nobody knew what the movie was about. And the fact that there was actually a highly relatable female character in it, it just looked like more macho bullshit that was coming out at the time. Now, what's unfortunate about this whole series is it's also like Dune. This is like the predecessor to Dune, where Dune set off a lot of things. This movie, or this book series, has been hijacked from everyone. Gene Roddenberry stole a bunch of stuff for Star Trek. James Cameron, in a number of interviews, said Avatar takes a lot of the Edgar Rice Burroughs bassoon series into account. George Lucas took a shit ton. When you watch this movie, you can go, holy shit, yeah, this is like a older version of Star Wars. Like, it's kind of weird. Yeah, that's exactly what was going on. So that was about what really went wrong there. No one knew what it was. They came out with the Super Bowl ad. Nothing had been done. Everything. I mean, people talk about making this movie for years, and everyone's like, this movie's been stolen from everything from Transformers, Red Steel. Everyone's abandoned it because it's so used. And the marketing team, she blew up, couldn't handle it, left the fucking studio. So when it came to the other trailers, no one knew what to fucking do. And by the movie came out, no one knew what it was and had no buzz around it.
So it bombed.
This movie, $250 million. Opening weekend domestically made $30 million. Take a guess on how much it made through its entire domestic run.
If it opened at 30, I'm going to guess somewhere in the 60s.
30.6 million.
Wait, for the whole run?
For the whole run.
Well, then it didn't open at 30 million.
It opened at 30 million, dude.
No, yeah. It didn't open and then...
Opening weekend, 30 million. That was the opening weekend. Domestic, 30.6.
No, I got to look that. That doesn't...
You can look that up. I know. I checked it too. That's what happened.
How? Was it pulled out of theaters after the opening?
Pretty much. It was reduced to local, like, select theaters only, and they prayed to God that they were going to make their money back on the worldwide. Yep.
I'm trying to find here the box office on it, because like I said, I've never heard of a movie that makes $30 million.
This has been referred to as the Ishtar of sci-fi.
Yeah, that I can totally believe.
The box office total with the overseas money was $284 million. Right. They said they had to make $660 million to break even on this bitch. And yeah. Yep. Now, when you talk about when you combine Canada, it made $70 million. But in the US, it only made 30.6.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not finding anything to dispute that right now. So
No.
Wow. Okay, well, so it was a bomb.
It was a total bomb.
Let's talk about whether, before we get into our picks to, try to not make it a bomb, did we like it? I'll let you start.
I love it. I actually really like this movie. I watched it when it came out on DVD in, was it 2013, 2012? And then I actually watched it again before this podcast, and I still enjoyed it. I really like it.
Yeah, and I could tell when watching it a lot of I could see how you would like it because yeah, I saw a lot of similarities to Dune, a lot of thematic similarities to Dune especially. So yeah, I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad. But you're right. It having all of its plot points kind of stolen throughout the years. Um, that was a challenge. I liked the first act. I liked the setup. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Do you know that was Bryan Cranston?
yeah,
Was,
I did.
yeah.
I did. That was another thing I was gonna say is the cast is phenomenal.
Like, it's a really good cast.
It's an incredible cast. Like I pretty much all of the leads or the secondaries, I'm fans of all of them. Like I was really impressed with the casting. And then you had Willem Dafoe doing a voice, and
yeah,
I mean that was
Thomas Hayden Church doing a voice.
Yeah.
It's great.
They had so much to work with there, but yeah, but I mean I was expecting it to be terrible. I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did, but I would have to like if I was going like 1 to 5 stars for a rating, it'd probably be between 2.5 and 3 stars. So didn't blow me away, but it's worth watching.
Yeah, it's worth watching, but I'm gonna guess that it's nothing you haven't seen before.
Exactly, it was very familiar. Except of course, the fish out of water story that's been done a million times, but I did like how it incorporated like the late 1800s at the beginning. I thought that was interesting, and like you said, the Bryan Cranston cameo, and that whole dynamic with that character. So yeah, there was
the humor that they put in the beginning when he's trying to escape all those times.
Yeah, that was there were some bits that were impressive, just not enough for me to say that it was like
a 4-star or 5-star. Right.
Right.
I'm not saying this, and I have to agree with you. I'm not saying it's a 5-star movie. I'm not even saying it's a 4-star movie. I would consider it like a 3-star.
Yeah, it kind of it ticks a lot of the boxes that you look for this kind of thing, right?
Absolutely.
All right, well let's try to fix it.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do to make it better. We'll start as always with new director, visionary to take helm of the project. This guy sounded like he was punching well above his weight.
He was. I do want to say that he was very determined to make it very, very much the source material. He was fighting tooth and nail to keep it from going away from that.
And now, real quickly before we do this, the beginning that I kind of highlighted that I really liked with the Rice Burroughs guy as a kid. Now, was that in the novel as well, or was that added?
What part?
The part with John Carter's his nephew being.
Yeah, no, this is that. It was very faithful to the books.
Oh wow, okay. Well, so he injected himself into the plot of his own story then.
Pretty much.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so first off, I would definitely not call it John Carter. I thought that was a terrible title. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you don't like Princess from Mars, you can name it anything else and just be like The War for Mars or something. My God, John Carter. So that needs to be changed. I'll start here with my director pick. It's not anything outside of the box at all. I'm going to a fix-it guy, a guy that can take a project like this and make it a success. I just went the easy route. I went with J.J. Abrams.
Okay. Because we have the value of hindsight when we look at movies. I decided to completely redo this movie. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is they're calling them the white apes, the red, the reds, the this. And as much as I liked the actress that did Deja, she was very tan. She was very, very tan in that role.
Right.
I'm making everyone black. This is an all-black movie. And to direct it is a guy who I am looking forward to seeing his film, Infinite, Antoine Fuqua.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's got a resume for sure.
Yes, absolutely. He's got a resume. And I'm really interested to see Infinite, which is going to be his sci-fi film.
Okay, so now you're going, I mean, all right, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this.
Go ahead.
So you're going all black cast. Are you I mean, is there like a black exploitation bent to this, or you're just all the characters happen to be black, including John Carter?
Including John Carter. Yeah, because I didn't want it to be a Mighty Whitey story. And that was one thing, that it kind of comes off as, it's 1912. This is a quintessential Mighty Whitey story, where a white guy comes in and saves the aliens or the other people, things like that. So I really wanted to get away from that. I don't feel very much of blaxploitation at all, because I figure that everyone on Mars, it's a red planet, they're going to be they're going to be darker skinned. That's just what it is.
Okay.
And, blacks fought in the fucking Civil War. If you don't like that fact, piss off. You fucking... with your fucking Confederate flag.
Yeah.
Eat my dick.
Sure. Okay, well then who then is your John Carter on your Antoine Fuqua?
I went with someone who I really liked, and again, I get the value of hindsight, who played an amazing villain in Black Panther, but I wanted to make him the star of this one Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. You know why? Because you're taking one actor who kind of broke out on the TV show Friday Night Lights and replacing him with another you're taking an actor in Big Riggins, Taylor Kitsch, who broke out on Friday Night Lights, and replacing him with a actor who also broke out on Friday Night Lights with Michael B. Jordan.
That's probably where that I'm going to admit that's where I got some of that go to as well.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, so for me, I went with here's my deal. I like Taylor Kitsch. I do. I like him as an actor. And again, going back to Big Riggins.
Yep.
But he's too pretty for this role to me.
He is. He's very too pretty. And again, I liked him in this much more than I liked him in King Arthur.
Mm. Wait, he wasn't in King Arthur.
I'm sorry. You picked him for King Arthur, I mean.
Oh, no, I did not. I picked him actually for John Marston.
That's right. You picked him for John Marston. I'm sorry. Yes.
Which I actually like him better for that than I do for this.
Oh,
John Marston.
I like him for this. But,
okay.
All right, but anyways, go on. He is too pretty. I admit he's a pretty boy.
So I wanted a guy that's able to. He can do the more gruff thing. I don't know. I figured.
Come on, Clint Howard.
It's not Clint Howard. But it is an actor that has worked with J. Abrams before, though. He worked with him on 2009 Star Trek. I picked Carl Urban.
Very nice. Carl Urban would make a really good John Carter.
Yeah. I mean, he's Dredd, in The Boys on Prime, the superhero show. He's a guy that can kind of do anything, and I think he'd be great. He'd be a more convincing, Civil War soldier too in my eyes than Taylor Kitsch. Again, he's just too pretty. Guy's just too pretty.
So then, who's gonna play Deja opposite your Carl Urban?
I'm with you. I kind of did like the Deja they had. I didn't see anything wrong with her, but that's the rule of the game, right? Is that we gotta recast it. So I went with Marianne Cotillard, probably best known stateside here as playing Maul in Inception, but she's French actress, got a giant resume. So yeah, she was my Deja.
Very nice. So sticking with my theme, I went with Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana.
Yep, Zoe Saldana, who was also in, coincidentally enough, not even Avatar, but she was in Star Trek.
Oh
yeah.
Look at us dipping from the same well here.
We are very much dipping from the same well.
All right. That moves us then to, we're doing also Meta Shang.
Well, Meta Song, Strong.
Meta Song. Yeah. No, it's Shang or Shang.
Shang or whatever.
Strong is the actor. Mark Strong.
Yes. Yep. So I'll go with mine because you brought up the blaxploitation, and maybe I did have it in the back of my head. This is my only white character, the major villain. Okay. And I wanted to see someone that was a little bit more sinister. I liked the actor a lot, but he seemed kind of disinterested in this a little bit. Like there was no connection, there was no emotion coming from him in any way, shape, or form. Sure. Plus, this guy gets to kind of shapeshift as well, right? So you don't need a whole lot of action with him. You just want someone who can be a villain.
Mhm.
Michael fucking Shannon, dude.
Okay. He was on my short list for Sab Than.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, but I didn't want to burn him on that role, so I saved him.
Fair enough.
For me, yeah, I agree. It's not an action-heavy role, so I didn't consider that whatsoever. Anything action infused, I think, is I don't even think the people who he like disguised himself as required much for action. The soldier maybe a little bit, right? So I went with a guy that an actor I really like that also can do very sinister. He's got a sinister look about him. I've always thought. His name is John Noble, and best known as playing Walter on the TV show Fringe, J.J. Abrams' show.
Yes.
Coincidentally, I didn't even put that together till just literally in my brain right this second.
And I can see him doing it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So he is my choice for Mr. Shang.
Okay.
Shang,
whatever it is. It's well budgeted.
So going to the Sab Than or however you pronounce it. I wanted a guy that can play evil, but I Dominic West, who played the character in the actual film, I'm a big fan of his. All the way going back to The Wire and a lot of stuff after.
He's good. He's really good.
He's great, and he did a great job. I mean, again, none of the actors were bad. Like, none of these actors, most of them were. It's hard to pick a replacement, honestly. He'd definitely be one. I'd say John Carter was probably the easiest to pick a replacement for. But I wanted somebody that I could see stepping in and doing it just as well. So I picked Jonathan Rhys Meyers, best known for playing Henry VIII in The Tudors.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I can see that. All right. Well, my guy has quite a resume as well. Been on TV, been in movies. He's kind of become a bigger name now with Empire. I've picked Robert Richard.
I don't know that guy, that name.
Julian in Empire.
I've never watched Empire.
Oh, okay. He's been around for a while. He was just in Bolden. He was mostly known for Nickelodeon, UPN. He was on 1-to-1. If you saw him, he's the guy that kind of does everything. But he's been in quite a few. He was in Coach Carter. He was Damien in Coach Carter.
I'm trying to look him up here. I'm on the IMDb.
His
what was his name again?
Okay, it's RI'CHARD.
Richard. RI'CHARD.
ARD.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm not pulling anything up. What else did you say he was in?
He was in Coach Carter. Look up Coach Carter.
Let's look up
Coach Carter.
Coach Carter, there it is.
And he played Damien Carter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with his work, honestly. I've never seen Coach Carter. I've never seen Empire.
Okay, he was on Veronica Mars.
Never saw that.
Okay, yeah.
I just missed this guy. Just somehow he never crossed my viewing choices somehow, just coincidentally. But okay, well, fair enough. Let's talk about our picks.
Yes.
And go down the line here. Well, so I don't mind giving you the director again. J.J. Abrams for me was purely a business choice. There's no passion to that pick.
Sure.
It's like picking Steven Spielberg for something. It's like, well, I guess Steven Spielberg probably would make it a success, and you're probably right, but it's like you don't really. I don't know. So yeah, I got no problem giving you Antoine Fuqua.
Yeah, I really like him.
Director.
I really like him.
So for the John Carter, then, this is tough because it's like your vision, all of your actors kind of are tailored to that vision.
Yes.
So mine wouldn't fit in any of except for maybe John Noble wouldn't fit for any of the picks.
This is one of those ones where you gotta kind of just look at it, and I don't know if there's necessarily as a win. We just kind of look at it and say, hey, I like that choice or I don't like that choice.
Yeah.
Who'd you pick for John Carter again?
Carl Urban.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. If I was gonna redo it in the way that it was, I would. Yes, 100%.
Okay. And who was yours again?
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh yeah, that's right. From Friday Night Lights, as we discussed.
Yep.
He's a big fan of his. Actually, just watched a couple weeks ago Just Mercy, which I highly recommend. So yeah, we both had. I think it was a wash either way because both of our picks were really strong.
Really strong.
I don't mind giving you Deja though.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm fine giving you that pick. I thought, both of them were okay, but maybe yours is a little bit better.
Okay, fair enough.
So I am going to lobby heavy, though, for John Noble here. So,
you can't. I mean, and again, is that a role to put? I mean, this was supposed to be a 6-stretch movie. Would Michael Shannon want to be invested in that? Is that something you really want to have him invested in? I could see him, and he was still working my vision. So I'll give you John Noble, and I'll save Shannon for something else.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my main point. Is let's save him for because I mean we're trying to only use actors once, right?
Yep.
So knowing that,
or have the actors win once. We don't want to be using winners again.
Right. Exactly. So I mean, that being said, I don't know if we're ever going to find a better John Noble role.
I agree.
So
I'll take
we'll
that.
give it to him. And then Saab Fan is going to be the same thing. We're going to just have to, kind of go back to our own corners, probably, right?
Yep, I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
I
watch both. I would watch both movies.
Yeah, and I would definitely watch both movies as well. So, all right. So we didn't quite come up with a cohesive, middle ground like we usually do. But again, when our visions are that different, it's very difficult to do that. So that's okay. So yeah, it's tough always to, again, recast a movie we didn't hate.
This was really tough for me. It honestly was and it had such a strong cast. It's like the cast wasn't the problem.
And you could say the director maybe wasn't either. He was just thrown in. I mean, he has the ability, the technical ability was there. It's just.
Yes, it was just they market. I mean, really, this came down to marketing. They just did not know how to market this fucking movie.
A lot of it was on Disney for sure, because this isn't worse than a lot of movies that make $400 million.
Exactly. This deserved to make $400-500 million in my mind. There's movies out there that didn't deserve to.
Absolute Transformers much.
This is much better than Transformers.
Much better. Okay, let us call it a segment there then. I think we have talked our John Carter all the way to Mars and back. So let's go to our next break, and we will come right back with more Cast That Movie.
Hey, Ted Mills here. What's a thing we all take for granted? There are many things, so you may not guess this answer. So I will tell you. Locks. They keep us safe from stuff. But what is the best lock? A key one? A pad one? A keypad one? One of those where the bar thingy makes it more locked-ed? So many locks. What do? You come to the newly opened Ted Mills Lock Store, and I will sell you a high-quality lock. That's the answer. So, people didn't want my boxes, and they don't seem to crave rocks like I had expected. But we all need locks. So I think I found an existing market this time. So that's a plus. The brand new Ted Mills Lock Store, currently operating out of the former biology lab of that abandoned elementary school on 6th You know the one. Let me unlock the world of locks for you today.
Damn, I look into the stars this night. Come to crystallize our
Welcome back to
feelings.
Cast That Movie, and it is time to play a game. Game
Game
time.
time. Game time. Pants off. Game time.
And Tom, we are doing, because we couldn't think of anything better, our top 3 Christmas movies, our holiday movies, if you will, whatever you want to call it, the late December movies.
Yep. Christmas in July, diddle bitches.
All right, why don't you start? What's your number 3 Christmas movie?
My number 3 Christmas movie is, of course, going to be Die Hard.
Of course, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do. Come on. As much as that Die Hard is still a great action movie, and it's set on Christmas. I can't hate it.
Okay.
It was before Bruce Willis was a total dick.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if my number 3 pick isn't on your list. My number 3 pick is Bad Santa.
That may or may not be on my list, sir.
Well, let's find out. What's your number 2 pick?
My number 2 pick is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's my number 2. I love that fucking movie.
My number 2 pick is also National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and Clark Griswold is really the only Chevy Chase character I've ever liked. So yeah, and that's a nostalgia pick for me.
Yeah.
And
It-
purely that.
That was like there was 2 Christmas movies we watched in my house. My mom always watched A White Christmas, and we always watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation every year. So yeah, that's a nostalgia thing for me.
Yeah, same here. Okay, so then our number 1 picks. I will go first.
Please.
Pretty sure you don't have this one as your number 1. This movie is not known as a Christmas movie at all, but it does take place during the holiday season. It is In Bruges.
Very nicely done, sir. No, that was not on my list, but now that I know that, I could steal it, but I'm not going to. No, my number 1 is Bad Santa, the unrated edition. Yeah. I
Okay.
fucking love Bad Santa. It has to be the badder Santa version.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I either or for me. I mean, yeah, the extra batterness is better, I guess, but yeah. All right, well, that was fun. I don't know. It's Christmas movie list. That's about all the attention I need to give it. I don't know about you.
Same here. Christmas
Yeah.
in July, like I said, diddle bitches. Let's get it done.
All right, let's move on to the Billy Mitchell story, our original dream project for this episode. Tom, will you tell us, please? Will you tell us about who is Billy Mitchell and why should we care?
Oh boy, little Billy Mitchell. Little bitchy mill.
Freudian slip, huh?
Oops. Little Billy Mitchell was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, and grew up in South Florida. So keep in mind that he is a Florida man, ladies and gentlemen, and went to a prep school where in 1983 he began working as a manager in the kitchen of his parents' restaurant, Ricky's Restaurant. Well, in grade school, he became an avid pinball player. He was uninterested in video games until he noticed everyone around him was playing Donkey Kong, and he wanted attention. Well, his interest in arcade games also spurred a friendly rivalry with a classmate, and the two tried to outscore each other on both Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. And Mitchell, in his weirdness, wanted to know if Donkey Kong had a world record, and reached out to a company called Twin Galaxies, at the time a single arcade in Iowa. He's in Florida. He reaches out to Iowa in the 80s to investigate this, ladies and gentlemen. He told him that the record of 1.4 million had been claimed by one Steve Sanders. And then in 1982, Life magazine brought several arcade players, including Mitchell, to Iowa for a photo shoot, knowing it was impossible to achieve the score Sanders had claimed. Mitchell demonstrated that the game had an impassable kill screen when he reached level 22, and was subsequently setting a high score that stood for more than 18 years. Well, in 1983, Walter Day invited Mitchell along with several other players to another photo shoot to participate in the Electronic Circus, a 40-city tour where the players would demonstrate their skills of arcade games at each stop. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in 1983, there was a carnivan of people playing motherfucking arcade games. So they would lug these things town to town to play masterful feats of skill and insane abilities on fucking arcade games.
And now we have Twitch.
Yes. Now, the idea did fall through. And the others spent their summer months camping at Twin Galaxies. They spent the summer camping at an arcade, where Billy focused on a few things. Later that summer, because of all this, he founded the U.S. National Video Game Team, a slimmed-down version of the Electronic Circus, as you call, aimed at stopping at only major cities. So they continued to bring Mitchell around all these things. And Mitchell was a debunker for a long time, debunked people. By 1984, Walter Day had named Mitchell the Twin Galaxies Player of the Year. But due to our video game crash of 1983, because of E.T. the video game, Twin Galaxies had to close down, and all this stuff done. So look, I could get all this. I mean, there's a lot of history here. Yeah. Basically, he was a big fucking nerd and was kind of this guy that ran around. And then, lo and behold, there was this documentary about him, and it turns out the guy was a piece of shit and had submitted a bunch of false records under himself. Well, the things that we talked, there's a documentary called King of Kong. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of things happened that maybe you don't know about afterwards, where he kind of went on a tirade. It was found out that he was investing money from these wins and from the restaurant business that he took over, and was funneling money to Twin Galaxies. And this was found out. And when that got found out, Twin Galaxies had to separate. There was a whole big problem. And Billy Mitchell was like, you are fucking done. You are done with the new Twin Galaxies. We want nothing to do with you. So how this came about was a YouTuber pointed out these differences about how he was doing things. He is currently suing this YouTuber for $1 million that proves that he was faking his scores and wasn't saying it for what it was. Was he faking it? Getting into total nerddom here, because we didn't even talk about we already went into the Electronic fucking Circus, so where can we go from there? When you do a video game thing, it's either on the live version of the game, like the actual hardware, or on an emulator. And those scores are kept separate, because the way a game loads on the actual, either be an arcade or a console, loads differently and behaves differently and has different glitches than on the emulated version. So what he was doing is he was making fake scores on the emulated versions and posting them to the actual console or arcade editions. Well, he is currently suing Twin Galaxies to get his records back that they took away for $12 million. Which they have told him to go pound fuck sand. But an interesting twist, through whoever he did with Guinness Book of World Records, they announced as of last month, June 2020, of this recording, that he was going to get his Guinness World Records back for Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. Twin Galaxy said, fuck that, we'll see you in court.
Yes, so I'm familiar with some of this afterwards. I did look into it prior to this. I did a little research finally.
Yay!
Yeah, about time, right? The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, I guess we can't do a top 3 documentary list because I'm already going to spoil, is my favorite documentary of all time.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's got a singular focus, and it knocks it out of the park. Like, it makes the video game world, the arcade game world. You fully feel immersed in it, and you know who the characters are, and they're entertaining characters. They're not anybody except for maybe Steve Wiebe, the guy who you didn't even mention, but he's the guy that actually did set the record in Donkey Kong Jr., was it?
It was Junior. I believe it was Donkey Kong, but the version that he was playing on Donkey Kong Jr. is involved in there, but I don't remember exactly how it fits in. I believe it was that Mitchell was playing not Donkey Kong, but Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., which loads differently and has different quirks and things to it than the actual standalone Donkey Kong arcade.
It's the way I describe it, because I really think everybody should watch it, especially after listening to this, to get a better perspective on who these characters are, because we'll try to run them down as we cast them. I think we'll try to describe them a little better, but it's if you like true crime, if you like true crime, if there's and you don't need it to be about a murder, there's a lot of similar themes. There's forensic evidence, and there's VHS tapes that have abnormalities and circuit boards that appear to have been messed with. I mean, it's really fascinating. And you have a clear-cut villain and his sycophants. And then you have just this normal, everyday guy, the absolute hero of the story, who is as honest and, true blue as they come. And he gets immersed into this world of just very strong personalities and a lot of petulance and a lot of egos. It's really fascinating, that documentary. So look it up if you haven't seen it.
It's great. It really is, and it does play like a true crime. But there is also an element to me that I can't help but laugh when I'm watching that documentary as well.
It's a comedy. I mean, it's
a comedy. It's a quirky documentary.
Yes, it's.
I mean,
great.
if you didn't know it was real, you would think it was like a documentary now mockumentary.
Right.
Yes.
Which I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. But maybe that's in the pipe. Who knows?
It could be.
Well, let's talk about then what we would do to try to turn this into a feature film that would be successful. So. We're starting with the director here. I started last time. I want you to start this time. Who would you have direct and try to bring the story? I mean, we say of Billy Mitchell, but I mean, it's mostly focusing on kind of, his reign in the video game world and being challenged by this nice, new, fresh-faced, nice guy. Who would be the director for this?
Because I already mentioned it, this thing is a documentary style. I want it to be an extreme comedy with someone that knows how to do kind of a mockumentary. And right now, the guy that's killing it, doing it, is Jermaine Clement. Motherfucking Jermaine.
Okay. So I went in a different direction. I mean, these guys are capable of comedy, not known for it, but they are known for hitting all the right points on the nostalgia board, which is kind of what I was envisioning. Because when I watch it, you get a very 80s feel from even the documentary. A lot of these guys are in Arrested Development, and they're still living in their heads in the 80s, right?
Yes.
So I went with the Duffer Brothers, the Stranger Things.
Yes, the Duffer Brothers. Okay.
Creators.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's my pick.
Okay. So then who's your Billy? Who's your lead?
Billy Mitchell. Okay. I warned you. I think this was off air. I warned you that I was going to have a very, let's say, unconventional pick during this episode. This would be it. Here we are. We've arrived. I don't know. I'm a little nervous. This might be considered an offensive pick, but I'm going to try to defend it.
Okay, let's hear it. Be offensive.
Okay. So the technology in The Social Network for, Armie Hammer played both Winklevoss brothers. And what they did there is they just superimposed his face onto another actor.
Yes.
You'd need to do that for my Billy Mitchell.
Okay.
Because my Billy Mitchell is Peter Dinklage. So here's my worry. I don't.
Wow.
I I don't want it to be considered offensive that I'm taking, an actor of a shorter stature like Peter Dinklage, who is one of the best actors on the
Transposing his
planet.
face onto a taller guy. I don't know. Boy, that's a new line I've never. Huh.
But would it? I mean, it's like he could play the role. He's got definitely a resemblance to Billy Mitchell. If you look at the picture,
Yeah,
he
no,
looks a lot like him.
God, that's a tough one. Because
Yeah.
is that for CGI acting? Is that in the world of what this is, or is this dwarf facing? I don't know.
Well, wouldn't it be? I mean,
yeah,
it's
I think that'd
based.
be the opposite. That'd be
Yeah.
like putting his face on Peter Dinklage and saying "fuck you."
Yeah, it's saying he shouldn't be limited to roles that are specifically for actors of a certain height.
I'm gonna allow it, sir. I'm gonna allow it. I'm not gonna harp on you for it. That's an interesting moral conundrum, but I think
Yeah.
as we get into more and more CGI, and I mean, it's no different than a deep fake.
No,
right?
it's not. But it's not a deep. I mean, it's going to be Peter
Peter-
Dinklage acting.
yeah,
It's going to be
yes.
his face, which is where most acting comes from. Is the face.
Sure.
Again, I'm comparing it to Armie Hammer doing doing the twins, the Winklevoss brothers
Yep.
in Social Network. It's the same technology, and the technology is 10 years down the road would have to be a lot better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna allow it. I like that. Okay.
All right, what did you do with Billy?
Well, I went far less convoluted. That's for sure. I'm going to tell you right now. I have the weirdest cast for this movie. Like, this just bizarre. Okay. I went with someone that we both enjoy, and I think could play Billy Mitchell with a little bit of makeup. BJ Novak.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about in our Billy Mitchell picks, but we'll save that for the afterward here.
Yes.
All right, so he's your Billy. Let's go. Who's your Steve Weeb? Who's the good guy to your villain?
Another odd pick. Kif Vanderhoovel.
I feel like I should know this name, but I do not. Who is this?
So Kif Vanderhoovel is probably someone that you don't know.
Oh, that's a
you don't
great
know
start.
the name. Like I said, I got a really bizarre cast for this. So Kif Vanderhoovel was known for a few things. He's an older gentleman, but if you look him up, you'll recognize him. He's been in La La Land. He was in Batman v Superman, Danny Collins, Nightcrawler. He was an editor. He was the editor in that. He's been in a lot of TV. So he was on Blackish. He's been on Solved. He's been on Baskets.
What brought you to this guy? How did he become how did you find him?
How did I find one Kif Vanderhoovel?
Yes.
That's for me to know and you to never find out, sir.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to my Steve Weeb, somebody that I can assure that you've heard of. We'll start there. For me, the resemblance, and this guy can do comedy, and he can be the everyman, the likable everyman. I went with Nathan Fillion.
Oh yeah, Nathan Fillion would be a really good Steve Weeb. I could also see him actually being a Billy Mitchell as well.
He does. I mean,
Why don't you do your superimposed face for that one? Make them both the same. Make them both Fillion.
Two individuals that look nothing like each other, both played by the same actor.
Holy shit!
Oh man! All right, let's move on then to Walter Day. I'll start here. So my Walter Day, we should explain, is
the Connie.
He was
the
he was the leader of Twin Galaxies. He no longer is. I'm sure you saw that he's no longer associated with them, and
he's no longer.
He's still very much pro Billy Mitchell, and he always has been Billy's biggest cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
He is famous. You see in the documentary, if you're wearing a referee outfit, he sees himself as the arbitrator when it comes to video game scores. But he seemed like a genuinely really nice dude. But yeah, he's a bit of a sycophant with Billy. I have Jackie Earle Haley playing him, best known as playing Rorschach in the Watchmen movie.
And before that, he was in Bad News Bears with
Yes.
Walter.
Yep. Absolutely.
I like that. Again, my cast is completely bizarre. Because of the salt and pepper beard that this motherfucker has, I went with Jason Mantzoukas.
Come on.
Just because I want to see Jason Mantzoukas lick fucking BJ Novak's ass. All right.
What? You cast him for something earlier. I want to say it was like our first episode. You cast him in a role. Didn't he? He did the voice of Buck, I think, in our Married with Children.
I think he did the voice of Buck, and I don't know if he won or not. But
well, he's not gonna win here, so it doesn't really matter. All right, let's go. Let's go to Steve Sanders. Steve Sanders, you mentioned him in your rundown. Is an old-time gamer, friend of Billy's from back in the day. Participated in. Yeah, now he's a lawyer, and he's moved on to an adult life, but he still has roots in the video game, and he plays a pretty big part actually in the documentary. And he is one of those few that kind of wants to make Steve Wiebe feel like they're taking him seriously, and that, you know, so he's kind of a, I don't know what the word would be. He's kind of in the middle character, but of course mostly loyal to Billy. But
yes,
who do you have playing this role?
Do you watch Holy Moly?
Holy what? What is this?
Holy Moly, do you watch this?
I've never heard of it. No.
Okay, I got into it on Hulu. It's the extreme golf putting show. Because I'm in my 5-year-old's in love with this show, and it's quite funny.
Oh,
and
God.
they've brought people back. Okay, they're bringing people back, and they brought someone back in the TV. And because of this, I want Jermaine to bring him back in the movies. Steve fucking Guttenberg.
Yeah, okay, so there's the Steve Guttenberg that
Steve Guttenberg.
wondering when he's gonna pop up. Okay, all right. I went with somebody that is actually actively being pursued for acting jobs. I'll just say who it is. It's Mike Birbiglia.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who the fuck that is.
You don't know who Mike Birbiglia is?
No, I don't know. I don't know him by name. Is he a friend of
No, he's a stand-up is what he's mostly known for, but he does acting too. He wrote and directed one of my favorite movies of the last decade. Don't Think Twice. It's a movie about an improv troupe. It's got Keegan-Michael Key in it.
Okay.
He's pretty well known. He's got a bit role on Billions too, and I don't know. He's got that nice guy look about him, and that's what I was looking for with Steve Sanders, was like a nice guy look.
Nice. No, I know, and I want to bring it up because we were going to cut it, but I want to know if you casted it. Did you cast the wife or not?
No. Yeah. Well, let's go a little inside baseball here. We talked about casting Billy's wife because, I mean, technically he's the focus of the movie, but it's just, for me, it didn't seem like we'd have enough to go off of. Like, you look her up on Google, I didn't even find a picture of her.
Oh, I found pictures of her.
Oh.
So I'm just going to tell you who I picked for the wife because I did.
Okay.
I had Jennifer Tilly.
Wow.
I told you, this is a bizarre cast, dude.
Just pulling people from all sorts of corners of the entertainment world. Wow. Okay.
Because when you get into this, I'll explain. Okay, we'll explain when we get into it.
Okay. Fair enough. Our last casting choice here is Mr. Awesome himself, Roy Schilt.
Oh, God.
Who, if you've seen the documentary, he's kind of the big proponent for Steve Wiebe,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not so much because of his belief in Steve Wiebe. It's more of this feud he's had with Twin Galaxies and Billy Mitchell in particular, going back years. He is, let's just say, a very colorful character and kind of a scumbag. He gives off a big-time scumbag.
Big-time scummy.
Yeah. So I'll start with this. This is the biggest name that I have in the cast, so he'd be not much would be asked of him. I'm going to bank on the fact that this actor is a fan of the documentary. He seems the type to have been.
Okay.
So I think he would do it just as a cameo type thing, which I don't think it would need more. I mean, I envision this role as kind of a, the guy he's probably in it for 7-8 minutes, but he leaves a very lasting impression and is hilarious in that time.
Yes.
So I'm going with Jonah Hill.
I don't think you're too far off. I went with Bobby Moynihan.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay, so we got a little bit to unpack here.
I think we got a lot to unpack here. I think the meds were hitting me when I made this cast.
Just our raw casts alone have got to inspire people to want to watch this documentary if they haven't.
God, I hope so. They haven't. They're going, what the fuck is going on? They haven't.
All right, so for the director, I had the Duffer Brothers, and you had
Jermaine Clement.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can leave the door open to cast him down the road in an acting role,
Yes.
I don't want to burn him on a directing, but yeah, if
I think you could pick any, like if someone is a director and an actor, you could pick him for a director role and then an actor
Right.
role.
because I believe
Yep.
we've used Ben Stiller in the director role
Mhm.
already. So,
Yep.
okay, I'll go with yours. I'm fine with that. Of course, I'm a huge fan of his. Who
Yeah,
wouldn't be?
he's killing it with How We Live in the Shadows.
Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. Yep.
Shadows. Yep.
So let's talk about our Billies. Oh God,
Okay, let me hear it.
Okay, so with BJ Novak,
Uh-huh.
I'm obviously a fan, but Billy Mitchell has a very low voice. BJ Novak has a very high voice. So that would be an issue.
Slap a wig on him.
Well, how do you do the voice? Like, is his voice going to be?
Just make him. I mean, again, mine's a total mockumentary style, like just bizarre kind of style. So just have him kind of talk real.
Oh, as much as I'm a fan of him, I'm more of a fan of his writing and
Okay.
directing than I am of his acting.
Sure.
Or comedic chops,
You know what?
performing.
I'm going to give you, because yours is the borderline offensive, like the question mark offensive role or choice of Peter Dinklage's face on a grown man's body. So I'm just going to fucking run with that.
I will always maintain it's empowering. He should not be limited to the roles he can play because of his height. But you can't play. I mean, I guess you could if you want to convince Jermaine Clement. Maybe
And he's just on a stepladder the whole movie.
Oh man, we got to be careful here. We got to be careful. We have such reverence for Peter Dinklage.
We do.
That I don't want it to come
love
across
that
for
man.
making fun
No,
of him. but-
not at all. Peter Dinklage is a national fucking treasure. That guy is amazing. He was the only reason to watch the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones.
Well, I can test that, but I respect him as much as you do. All right, we're going with Peter Dinklage here, and we're going to hell right after.
Yep.
Okay, so Steve Wiebe. I'm sorry, man. I can't with this.
Yeah, with Cliff Anderson.
I can't with a guy that's still going to auditions for background roles. No.
I'm
sorry.
gonna give him his due. All right.
Oh.
Fair enough. Fine.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion. He's tried and true. I think it's
Nathan
perfect.
Fillion and Cliff Anderson in the same room. Whoa. Who's gonna come out? Not Cliff Anderson.
Okay, so Jason Mantzoukas as Walter. I don't know. I like it in a way, but it's
Imagine him being friends with a Peter Dinklage face on a grown man's body. wearing a ref shirt everywhere.
No, I mean, if we go with him, then I'm saying we don't even need to bother with Peter Dinklage Peter Dinklage can be Peter Dinklage. If we're putting Jason Mantzoukas in as Walter Day, there's no reason to go over the top to try to match a realistic depiction with Billy Mitchell if we're going with that route on Walter Day. So I'll give you Walter Day, and I'm now willing to back away from my Peter Dinklage, Winklevoss technology and willing to just let him play the role. And
no. We've already established this is no. We're going with the tech, dude. No, we already know. You can't. No backsies, bitch. I'm not letting you take that shit back.
Here's my question, though. Do you really want Jason Mantzoukas to be used on this and not to be used elsewhere?
Oh, fuck.
How about that? I mean, because Jackie Earle Haley, I think would. I mean, all
right. I'll give you Jackie Earle Haley. All right.
Right. Thank you, sir. So, Steve Sanders, which was, by the way, Ian Ziering's character on 90210.
Yes, it was.
Fun fact. Yeah. Who did you have again?
Steve Gutenberg. How did you forget?
Oh, well, he's too old, man.
Oh, it doesn't. Did you see him on Holy Moly? He's looking great.
I clearly didn't. I've never heard of the show, but he's like in his mid-60s by now.
Oh, sure. He is.
It doesn't work.
Well, again, I'm having Jermaine Clement, right, to direct this thing, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm having a little bit of fun with it because outside of watching the documentary, no one's going to know who these people are. Maybe they'll know who Billy Mitchell is, but no one's going to know who these people are.
Yeah. No, that's fair. All right. There's no other
Steve Gutenberg because you don't want to burn something when we got for this particular movie when we have Steve Gutenberg and you have someone that's probably talented. I mean, that came out wrong. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Oh, sorry, Steve, if you're listening.
1,000% know what you mean. Love might be a strong word.
I actually like Gutenberg, but that's me.
Steve, we like you for the role of Steve Sanders. All right, moving on. So Mr. Awesome himself. Mm-hmm. So I had Jonah Hill. Who did you have again?
Bobby Moynihan.
Oh, your most normal pick. Okay. Yeah, I don't care. What do you want to do with this one? I don't care either way. It's fine with me.
I think I'm gonna go with what you brought up for me wasting.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah, because I don't want to waste, Mantzoukas.
Yeah, and Bobby Moynihan would be a pretty funny Mr. Awesome.
Oh my God, yeah, he would.
The resemblance isn't as close, but that's okay. We're long past that. We're long past that. So okay.
And then Jennifer Tilly as the wife, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
Jennifer Tilly's going to be hanging around the arm of Peter Dinklage. Kill me over here. Holy fuck. Jennifer Tilly's running around with Peter Dinklage on a grown man's body.
Oh, no.
Face on a grown man's body with Steve Gutenberg and Haley Joel and Haley
no.
and fucking Rorschach as his best friend. Oh my God, this is genius. And we're going to let Jermaine Clement run the show. I need this movie to happen.
Oh my God, yeah, we're going to have to start making some calls.
Oh, shit.
We got to work our connections to get a Kickstarter going or something.
Oh, that needs to fucking happen. I want to see this movie so bad. Holy shit.
With that, I think we're done.
You broke
with
me.
This. Yeah, I don't think my cheeks hurt. I can't laugh anymore. Okay, let's take our last break and then we'll come back and say our goodbyes and see if we have anything on deck for next episode. We haven't talked about it yet, so we'll try to figure something out in the next 45 seconds. All right, we'll be right back.
Well, if future just a fever dream, past time but a heavy load.
That's right, I'm gonna fuck your butt. And other classic songs, or will be classic songs, like Get Your Hillbilly Truck Out of My Yard. I don't like your Confederate flag. I can't wait for this feety cream to work. I can't wait for this cream to clean the pus off my junk. If you love the very, very best of Thom Van Horton album, then you cannot miss out on going to be the next classic, the GC Deep album. Abortions for sale. I got abortions for sale. Look on down in my truck. I'm coming, just my luck. And I'm coming, just your luck. I got abortion for sale. Pick up now, Nisbet Records.
Don't give me your reasons to stay. I won't be listening, babe.
Welcome back to Cast That Movie, and we are finishing up here our latest episode. It's been a lot of fun, and my cheeks still hurt from laughing so hard at our casting of the Billy Mitchell story.
Oh, God.
That was a lot.
I got to ask you something real quick before we get into that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the new negotiations with Ted Mills? We got a new ad from him. Are we good there? Did we have everything figured out there?
I'm not allowed to talk to you about him.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right.
Yeah, that's where we're at with that. But we need that money. I don't know where he comes up with it with having failed business after failed business. But yeah,
he's been getting like SSI disability for years, right?
I had no idea.
Yeah. Have you talked to him?
Again, we only talk business, and try to keep it at that. But yeah, he's a very private individual, and once again, he's paying the money. We need the money. We need that sweet, sweet heroin money. So
that's true. I'm running low on my smack.
So yeah, that's his only stipulation is that I don't know how he's apparently not happy with you. Certainly doesn't like Joe.
Yeah.
So I
think
just,
that's mutual.
I just have to leave it there and let you guys all work that out, and I'm going to stay out of it and not kill the revenue stream.
Fair
I'm a
enough.
businessman, man.
I know. You I know you get the money to pay the billies, so I was just asking how that went.
Yep, it's pending. I think that's the best answer. All right, let's talk about what we're doing on the next episode of Cast That Movie, shall we? We have decided we are going to tackle a remake of the atrocious adaptation of the Michael Crichton novel Sphere, which is one of the few books that I've read twice. I
think I've read it twice as well, to be honest with you. I
loved that book.
I got that book. I was sick when I got that book. My mom ran to the mall, and I think I read it that night. Like from that day to that night, I plowed through that book like in one day.
It's such a page turner, yeah, and it's Michael Crichton obviously has got a lot of scientific technobabble in his books, but he still found a way to make them very. And I was like 13 when I read it too, so I was dumber than I am now.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that was made into an awful movie starring Dustin Hoffman and Sharon Stone.
Of all people.
Yeah. So that is one that is prime. That's not one either of us have to worry about liking and having to like, you know, hesitate and overthink who we're going to recast. Anybody would be better than the two leads that were in that version. So that's what our recast will be. Why don't you tell everybody, Tom, what is our original dream project we're going to be tackling?
Yes, our original dream project. Now, people are gonna wonder if we're skirting the rules here, but many years ago, it was a made for VH1, made for TV movie about the birth of the warning labels on music.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, they actually wanted to Congress wanted to crack down and actually prevent artists from putting out music such like Prince and a lot of the 80s bands.
True Live Crew,
all these things. They wanted to actually make it where they couldn't make these albums. That lyrics had to be done. And I'll give you guys a little bit of during that episode. There's something that is really interesting that I think anyone conservative or liberal would be really upset about if they really knew the story behind something like what prompted this. So I'll give that in that episode as well.
Yes, and you're right. It has been brought to the screen at a very small screen of terrible made for VHS movies in the early aughts, I believe. But that was, to be fair, that was the John Denver story. It was just a part of the John Denver story,
right?
So I'm okay with us. It wasn't. This will be specifically and wholly about that episode when John Denver, Frank Zappa, and Twisted Sister himself came together.
Yes, no, and it was, but it was and you can watch it. It was a TV movie called Warning Parental Advisory. It wasn't just the John Denver story.
Oh.
But it was made for TV. It was like, I don't remember if it was MTV, if it was VH1. But it was not given the proper budget. It was not given the proper due. It was not done correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, it was. And what we're talking about a major feature that we always try to envision here.
Yeah.
So that's, we're fine. Whatever. It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. And I mean, again, this was a made for cable. I mean, we go to Rotten Tomatoes, there was no critics that reviewed this movie. It's just, it doesn't even have a rating. So no one saw this thing because it was not like now where cable makes good movies actually.
Yeah.
Or can make good movies. This was like, we're just going to throw it out there to whatever because we need original content for our channel.
This was when TV was seen as the far lesser medium, whereas the argument can be made now it's superior to film in some ways. Yes. We're not going to count that as ever having existed. So that's what we're going to be doing on the next episode, in addition to our usual shenanigans. So we certainly hope that you join us, and we certainly hope that you listen to our previous episodes. We've got like a dozen out now, something like that. We got quite a few. Yeah, I think this is episode 13. Ooh, lucky number 13.
Yeah, I think this is episode 13 for us. Let me double check. God, it's been going on for a while now. Oh, I'm on the kids' computer recording this, so obviously I can't see it because I have my podcast.
Oh, parental controls.
Daddy blocks the podcast.
That's a good idea. All the podcasts that we make should be blocked. Speaking of which, we do other podcasts. We're going to plug those real quick. Joe, our friend, and you do a Twin Peaks podcast above a convenience store. You want to plug that real quick?
I do. So yes, Joe and I are huge fans of Twin Peaks, and we've been we do a weekly podcast, and now we're getting into season 3, which only came out a couple years ago, called The Return. Then we'll end that with the final dossier, and then at that point we'll be announcing the continuation, or where we're going to take the podcast in a different direction after that.
Mm-hmm. And then we all also work on another podcast with Joe. It is an office podcast. We call it Bears Beats Bobbleheads. And what we do is every week we review episode of The Office, and we're going to do all of them. And we're going to be recording the 4th episode coming up, and that'll be released on Wednesday. So check that out if you're an Office fan. The gimmick there is that Tom, using a different name.
There's a lot of different names that I use for
Yes.
the different podcasts. It's
Yes.
just my thing.
But it's our voices, so that's all you
Yes.
need. But anyway, he has never seen The Office before. He's
Nope.
literally watching these for the first time, whereas Joe and I are both big fans, and giving his reaction. He's
Yes.
avoided it all these years, and now, for the sake of a podcast, is watching it and giving his impression literally hours after seeing the episode for the first time, and then kind of tracking his feelings towards the show. So all of our podcasts are, of course, on YouTube. They are on Spotify. They are on SoundCloud. This podcast and the Twin Peaks podcast, I believe, are the two that are on iTunes.
This podcast, the Twin Peaks podcasts, are on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Are on iTunes, and then everything's on Spotify and
Yep.
SoundCloud.
And
Yes.
YouTube. And then
Yeah,
we, all of us, our home base is the joedown.blog. So check that out.
I got news. If you want to hear news,
Oh, news is good.
I brought this up in the Twin Peaks podcast, so I should bring it up here. I'm actually starting to start working on a 4th podcast.
Oh boy, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so with 2 people that aren't Joad and Joe, I am in the process of doing a food podcast
Ooh.
where we take a spice or an ingredient and then go into the history of that spice or ingredient, how it's been used over the years, depending, on how long it's been around. Food's been around forever, so and then the different ways that it's maybe used in cooking. So, for example, the first episode we're going to be doing is going to be on the potato.
Oh.
And then we'll be getting in the history of the potato, the different ways you can use potato, and then the 3 of us that will be in that podcast will be discussing our favorite recipes using that particular product.
Nice. And do you have an idea when that is going to premiere?
It should premiere we were going to start recording in August.
Okay, so right around the corner.
Hmm.
All right. Well, that's a lot of stuff. So everybody that's listening to this, I encourage you to listen to all those things. And like, subscribe, share. Please get the word out. We could use that more than anything else, is more people to be aware of us and what we do here. There's no other podcast where you're going to hear a proposal to have Peter Dinklage's face superimposed onto a tall, slender man.
And then running around with Jennifer Tilly and Rorschach.
That is a cassette movie exclusive.
That is the exclusive hot take from these guys.
And that's what you get here. So, so check us out. Continue to listen and tell your friends. So that's all I got.
That's all I got.
All right. We will hopefully have you hearing us next time on Cast That Movie. Bye.
Bye.